Hey everyone, thanks for signing in. I welcome you all. We still have a few people signing in, so let's give them a minute and then we can get going. Okay, I think we are ready to go. First of all, thanks for joining in for today's webinar. Today we are talking about Microsoft 365 Governance and ways to implement it to get the best out of your SharePoint environment. I'll just start with introducing myself. This is Sukanya Chakravarti. I'm a digital transformation strategist working for Saketa, and I have been helping and guiding customers in effectively utilizing SharePoint as a platform and letting them explore the ways to make it super productive. And I'm your host for the day. Now, coming to the agenda of the webinar. Today, we'll be covering challenges in Microsoft 365, followed by need for M365 governance. Then we'll get to know how to build governance teams, followed by M365 capabilities. And then you will be taken to the Saketa governance suite walkthrough to understand it better. Before we proceed further, I believe you must be curious to know about the organizing company. We are called Saketa. Ever since its inception, Saketa has been known for leveraging the best utilization of Microsoft 365 and SharePoint on-prem through our popular SharePoint migration tool, as well as the digital workplace solutions. We are a part of the elite Microsoft chartered members in the business app and content service domain. We provide SharePoint deployable apps, including the SharePoint Intranet, SharePoint Migrator, and Business Productivity Suite. And our prime objective lies in enriching your M365 experience to give you a confident and hassle-free work environment. You can visit us at saketa.com to know more, or drop a mail at support@saketa.com and we'll get back to you. Now, coming to governance. Having a great governance system in place can exponentially help increase your compliance with various business processes and regulations. Thus, it has been one of the most sought after topics whenever we interact with any of our clients. Therefore, we designed this webinar to cover every aspect of it, right from its requirement, implementation, utility, and best practices. Our experts will be driving you through it in some times. Now, let me introduce you to our experts for the day. Our first presenter is Mr. Rohit Chala. Rohit is a Microsoft 365 specialist, and he has been working with various clients to build better governance for their specific needs. He's been a significant contributor in the ideation of the Saketa Governance Center, and his specializations lies in SharePoint and Teams administrations. Then we have our next presenter, Mr. Srinivas Dasri. Srinivas is a governance and digital transformation specialist. He is among the very few who can call Saketa migration tool as his brainchild. He is with us for the last 7 years and has a very sound knowledge and specialization in SharePoint on-prem and online development. They are quite passionate about creating products that helps customers ease out any kind of migration hurdles. Now, let me inform you, we do have an exclusive giveaway lined up at the end of this webinar, so stay tuned. Now, before I hand over to our speakers, let's quickly cover a few housekeeping rules. Today's webinar is being recorded. We'll be able to share a link with you after the event is done. You are welcome to revisit or share with your colleagues. Please mute your mics to avoid any kind of audio disruptions. We'll have a Q&A session after the presentation and all your queries are welcome. If you have a question for the speakers at any point of time, just type in the comment box and we'll get back to you. So let's jump in and start with our next speaker. Rohit, I request you to take it from here.
Thank you, Sukanya. And hi, everyone. Now, I will introduce you some Microsoft 365 tools which will facilitate you our day-to-day work like productivity, communication channels, collaboration, document management, and low-code analytics like Power Automate, Power BI. This modern digital workspace increased flexibility for all. However, it also introduced few new challenges and complexities in keeping our organization feasible and secure. Some of the common challenges most of the organization face are these things. So in every organization, it is quite common that most employees just want to get their job done as soon as possible. So they will create lots of sites, site collections, folders at each and every minor needs also. As the time passes, it will be result in site proliferation and confusing folder structures, which results in content sprawl. Along with this content sprawl, people tend to ignore previously established governance guidelines unintentionally as the time passes. It may also result in poor naming conventions, managed metadata, site and content structures. If we continue to use these with no proper information governance, it may result in poor search experience and quality deterioration. Additionally, the use of various cloud applications, personal devices, collaboration with external users at different locations, there may be a chance of data breach. For example, if we given project to vendors and no proper security policies are in place in that system, our sensitive content may be leaked. For example, I will show you one simple example. If you open a Google and there, if you search for site contents, then it will give you the list of site collections which are freely accessible to everyone. So you can see there are a lot of site collections. If you go to a pages also, you can see there are different site collections which are freely accessible to you all. And finally we have these things like challenges. Whenever the users will accessing those challenges, so they need to search a documents like they need to find out where the document is exactly, and if there is no information architecture and such experience, it will cause end users to the frustration and it will lead them to a confusion. To overcome all these problems, we will definitely use some third party applications. So with those third party applications, our work get to done as soon as possible, but also it includes some challenges like security things. So we need to ensure that what are the things they are asking for us permissions, and we need to monitor what they are trying to access, and we need to make sure that they're extremely secure and there is no data leak at any point. The one-stop solution for all these challenges lies in Microsoft 365 governance. So for this one, first, we need to know what is governance. Governance is nothing but a set of policies, roles, responsibilities that control your organization, business divisions, and IT works together to achieve its goals. It's not just a book, but it contains a rules and responsibilities that prevents you users doing something unexpected things. It will just guide you to stay compliant and improve usability, adoption, and security. Now we know the challenges and how the governance will help you to achieve these challenges. Like governance will achieve you to minimizing the data and security risks by defining best practices related to access level, permissions, sensitive data, external users. So users follow these practices through audit and help you to prevent security breaches. Governance also helps you to maintain well-organized structure. It will facilitate users to create and maintain a better organized structure at each and every level across your tenant, and maintaining the best practices so that you do not encounter previously discussed problems like content sprawl and quality deterioration. Following the important best practices such as consistent navigation, uniform look and feel, modern navigation themes will help you to achieve a Microsoft 365 operational efficiency. To create a company-wide taxonomy also helps you to achieve a successful Microsoft 365 search capabilities. Generally, people tend to broad Microsoft 365 and mostly they will use SharePoint as a just document storage things, and they will use Teams for collaboration things. But most people do not use metadata, views, such capabilities. and many other essential offers like governance things. So you need to make sure that you will utilize all M365 platforms for your business challenges with suitable trainings and gamification strategies also. And you need to make sure that everyone follow the same rules, patterns, behaviors, and right information architectures are maintaining or not. This process will be now extremely transparent. We will simply track and regulate, because if anything happened, our administrator can easily track and they can fix using auditing and compliance features. If we follow all those things, it will improve the accountability to uh, our employees. So planning is the foundation for the governance, as governance starts with a good planning. So we need to consider some of the important things like vision. So we need to define a clear cut vision, so that you need to ask some questions like, what do you want to achieve with M365? What are the problems you and your employees faces? Where their frustrations and pain points are? And what are the best practices and policies you should incorporate for it? Like that, you need to define some questions and have a clear vision and define your own requirements and guidelines, so that you can build a better governance plan and identify people who are involved in creating and maintaining those content, and determine who is accountable for what and what their areas of expertise and responsibilities are. So define and record each and every role and responsibilities. For example, take an example of central admin. So he is responsible for creating site collections and maintaining the best external sharing things like that. And site collection administrator, he is responsible for creating, configuring, and maintaining some sites within that site collection. And when coming to the site contributors, he need to contribute the content to the site collection per site. Like that, define some roles and responsibilities at each and every level. And naming conventions and provocations are very important, as each and every organization has their own naming conventions. So follow the best practices and make sure that each subsidiary has its own naming convention, like add prefix to that subsidiary. For example, take Saketa as an example. So Saketa can have different groups. So you can add site collections like Saketa-HR, Saketa-sales. Like that, you can create your sites and libraries like that. So a successful and high performing organization requires well planned information architecture also. So you should think about the things like navigation, metadata, and page architectures. So you can also define your own look and feel and make sure that those standards are followed and reflected at each and every level from site to pages. So define your own way of using images, site logos, colors, and maintain consistent look and feel to the end users, like creating different brandings for internal things and external things, and maintain a proper way of life cycle for the files. So a lot of old files consumes lot of data, but also it will create some confusions, like, and end users will get to frustrations when they search for something. Then they will get old data also, and there may be a chance to data leaks also. So you need to have some retention policies, so that it will clear the old files which are not necessary for now, and end users will see only fresh content at regular intervals of time. So your governance policies must also include what the content you are sharing and what content you cannot share, and what content you are sharing externally. So you need to enforce policies, automated information protection capabilities, and provide training and guidance for your end users or your administrators, so that they will get to know about what data can be shared internally and what can be shared externally. And provide training and support to each and everyone. So don't Do not provide trainings that only show how to. Make sure that your training videos also contain policies, guidelines, and which tells them how should expect also, and constantly collect feedback from them and use those feedback in the improving of your governance plan. And finally, audit. So a successful governance mainly depends on how you implemented it and monitor it. So have a clear cut of audit plan and place a one role and responsibilities for that one. So observe securely and efficiently that Microsoft 365 platform is being used across your organization. Audit also gives you insight like how your users are using M365 and what are the areas lot of users are using and to whom your organization is shared and activities are performed in areas. So perform audit with help of the custom policies, check that anything is there, your governance plan can fix them immediately and make necessary changes also. So along with this plan, we need definitely a great team so that he, the team of experts will fix this plan and they will create the plan. So for smaller companies, there may be a different team, and for larger companies, there may be a different team. But this is the standard where any company can follow and build their own governance structure as per best practice guidelines. So this team can contain a best business stakeholders and technical oriented peoples. So define clear vision and requirements for IT strategies, operational teams, and build a technical solutions, adoptions, and implementations. So ensure at least one single point of contact from each department so that they will address the problems faced in that governance plan. And your team contains business leaders who have the ability to make decisions so that if anything want to required at any point of time, they can easily fix this. And define clear roles and responsibilities to each and every person and regularly conduct meetings and collect feedback from that meetings and evaluate your governance plan and build a strategy team, technical, tactical teams with business IT leaders, strategists, developers, operate and support people also. With help of this great plan and great team, you can build a robust governance. Now, you have seen how to build your governance plan and what is the great team contains. So let me introduce you our Saketa governance framework. With the years of experiences in Microsoft 365 and related technologies, working with different clients in intranet and governance setup, as well as in-house SharePoint governance and Microsoft Migrator products, our team of experts developed a framework to solve the problems which are faced by Microsoft 365 users and security issues. So our governance team contains so which includes a business strategist from each and every department, which understands the requirements of departments exactly and how they are functioning. We define the roles and responsibilities for each and every team, and the guidelines are for each and every person in the team. So because of governance, it will take shape when IT strategists and tactical teams working together. So our governance team considers key business goals and pain points of organization and making a governance plan. Some of the goals and processes considered while creating the guidelines are naming conventions, hub sites, site and content structure, and who are the target audiences, and the how to maintain such brandings, teams like that. And we have considered each and every best practices and standards. So we made our users from making unnecessary and unwanted mistakes that cause problems and facilitate proper functions at each level. So we made best practices for naming, branding, like that. And coming to the users policies and procedures, we have a great users policies where we are using Microsoft 365 compliance solutions, which will you get later in the upcoming slides, and adoption strategies. We have a full robust adoption strategy where our clients are our users are interacting with our data. by getting reports on popular sites, inactive sites, libraries. We are making that who are using more and who are using less, and and we are developing a robust tool with the help of our team. So you will get to a demo at the end of this webinar. And coming to the communication and user training, we have a very wonderful communication. So to make sure that governance plan, what we have developed is successful, so our communication team sends the mails, email templates, manuals, documents, and training videos to understand the complete M365 and our governance plan. So we kept a document links at each and every level at SharePoint actions. And when coming to the gamification, we have a great gamification thing. So where our users will interact with the help of the chatbots, knowledge portals, where we can use such metadata capabilities to find relevant information. And finally, auditing. We have a complete tool which will give you the complete insights on the our tenant about the adoption of users and how they are using the best practices and guidelines. We will see the audit capabilities available in the Saketa governance in the demo session at end. Apart from this, there are many other factors we need to enforce in our client engagements regarding the governance. I think now you have a clear idea about the challenges we are facing at the M365 and why governance is needed and how to plan it. What are the things we need to consider at the creating a best team? And I have given you the walkthrough about the things like is our Saketa governance framework. So now my colleague Srinivas will give you the complete things like what to do with M365 governance capabilities.
While Srinivas sets it up, give you a quick poll. Thanks for opting. It's really helpful for us. Srinivas, you can carry on.
Thank you, Sukanya and Rohit. Hi all, this is Srinivas. As part of governance, one of the important aspects we need to consider is how compliant and secure our tenant is. With online and anywhere access from multiple devices, it's no surprise that enforcing protection on sensitive data is really difficult, particularly when data is transferring from cloud to personal devices and external users. This is where Microsoft Information Protection comes in. Several options available here out of the box to govern and protect your data, classified into following four categories. Sorry. It starts with know your data. In general, business want to keep their sensitive data secure. So your production plan should start with understanding your data landscape first and identifying most important data across your Office 365 tenant. Why? Because you don't want to apply over restrictions on each and every file. Wherever the sensitive data is reside, we need to identify and the sensitive protection should be applied on that such content. So once we got idea about our content, the next step is protect your data. So uh, here we are going to perform activities such as encryption, watermarking on the identified content. Prevent data loss features enables you to identify risky behaviors and prevent accidental sharing of confidential data with unauthorized or wrong users. Retain and govern your data with features such as record management and retention policies. Now we have seen the process. Now let's go to each offerings available under this category in detail. Know your data. So under this milestone, we have three options available from Microsoft to identify sensitive data across the tenant. The first one is sensitive information types. This is one of the compliance feature available in Microsoft 365, where this is a pattern based matching. That means you are going to choose your keywords. It can be names, it can be regular expressions you write to identify the content, and you define a sensitive information type based on your keywords, so that wherever your sensitive data resides on the document, that will be matched here. Now we are going to look into it in practical soon. So Microsoft 365 comes with many default sensitive information types such as Australian bank account number, Australian driving license number, and credit card number, and many more. So if you like, so now we can see all the default sensitive information types, which is giving Microsoft out of the box. We can see there are 207 sensitive information types. So now in across tenant, in any document, if any content was matching with this account number, it will be identified. That means if a document contains Australian bank account number pattern, it will be identified using this information type. So the same way, there are many out-of-the-box availables that will follow data compliance and according to personal information or GDPR restrictions, everything. There are predefined sensitive information types available for you. If you want to define your custom sensitive type based upon your business keywords, based upon your organization sensitive data, we have that option available. So we can define our custom, we can create a small custom sensitive type, and this is what it looks like. So you have a primary element where you can input your list of keywords. It's like just entering keywords. For example, if I want to identify a document that containing keywords such as Saketa or else marketing, so like that, I can define the keywords I want to identify in a document. Now, wherever the document resides, this custom sensitive type that I'm created will identify that document, and I can access from single location. That means I don't have to go to there. I can view the documents here. I will show you the how to see that. And not only keywords, but we also have an option to show regular expression. So instead of defining keywords, you can define a regular expression such as identify 16 digits number or identify credit card number. Now let's say any document that contains 12 or 16 digits, so it will be identified. But our scenario is we wanted to be specific. Not only if it is 12 or 16 contains sensitive credit card, it's not like that, but it should also contain supporting elements. For example, if I go into supporting list, now this is a supporting keyword list. So I want to identify a credit card information if it match my primary regular expression and also the supporting elements that I defined here. For example, it can be CVV, it can be Visa, it can be MasterCard. So like that, I can define my supporting elements from here, and I can define my primary elements from here. Primary here, supporting layer. And now once I did this, any document that contains both this primary element and supporting element will be identified and marked as a document containing a credit card information. That means the sensitive information type that I just defined. This is how we defined our sensitive information types. Now, this sensitive information type is a base for all compilers in Microsoft 365. Why? Because every sensitive label, retention labels, data loss prevention policies, everything is going to use this sensitive information type to automatically identify document across tenant and apply protection to it. Now let's go to trainable classifiers. So this is trainable classifiers. What exactly the difference between trainable classifiers and sensitive information type is? Both are used to identify the document that is having sensitive information. So the only difference is trainable classifiers is a example based matching. That means here we are defining keywords. Directly we are inputting regular expressions keywords to identify or to find. Here, instead of doing that, it's not always possible, right? Like a document can contain different formats, different samples. In such case, we can give set of samples. For example, set of resumes to create a resume classifier, set of contracts to create a contract classifier. Now, by using those examples, we can build a small classifier, and the classifier will, with feedback mechanism, we will correct the classifier by providing true and false inputs. If it identified correct, if a resume classifier identified it as a resume, we should input true. If a resume classifier identified contracts as a resume, we should input false. Like that, we will train our classifier. It's a concept of like same like machine learning. So it's built on top of machine learning. So that is what trainable classifier. You will provide a samples and a classifier will learn and understand the structure of the sample. And from now onwards, it will identify the real-time data. Once that is ready, once the feedback is accurate, once a classifier is detecting correct outputs based on the provided samples, now we can publish this classifier and use it same as sensitive information type to identify sensitive information. So the default classifiers provided by Microsoft are profanity, so and threat, target harassment, so like that. If a offensive language, so if a document containing any offensive language, Now this classifier is able to identify and mark it as a document containing offensive language. Now you can take actions accordingly. Now we have seen how to define sensitive information type, how to define trainable classifiers, but what content matches these classifiers? So for that, we have a data classification tab where we can see where we can go to Content Explorer here. So this page will help us to see each and every file across SharePoint, OneDrive, Exchange that matches the sensitive information types. For example, if you see, we have 1081 nation identification number. That means 1081 documents containing this sensitive information type. Like that, you can see the remaining. Now I can go to SharePoint. Now what it will list each and every site collection. So if you see, I'm not even switching the tab, but I can see across the sites. I can see across the sites. I can just drill down to particular folder location from library, everything here itself, and I can find the exact document where my sensitive information resides, and according to that, I can take actions. So I can see this document, and this document is containing this sensitive information like test. Now, if I click on new, it will be refreshed like that. So wherever the documents are there, it will be shown. So this is what Content Explorer, and Activity Explorer is all about sensitive activities happening across the documents. That means we have DLP, like DLP matching rules, copied to pen drive or else downloaded to file system if we enabled endpoint DLP configuration. So all these settings can be managed, tracked from here on sensitive data itself. So we have another thing called audit, but this is mainly, this Activity Explorer in data classification is mainly for activities on sensitive content. So now let's move to, now we understood how to identify the data first, but still now we didn't even provided any protection settings, protection capabilities. We still didn't provide it. We just identified where is our data, what is the type of sensitivity it contains. Now, if we go to protect your data capabilities, so the first option available for us here is sensitive label. Sensitive label helps us to classify your data and apply protection on them. Sensitive label provides protection capabilities such as encryption, content marking, access restrictions, so such as what authorized users should take and what we wanted to restrict it, like view, read only, like that. Documents where sensitive labels applied can be protected across different platforms and devices. That means you downloaded it to file system, still sensitive label settings will be respected. Why? Because sensitive labels will be attached in metadata of the document. So you transfer document across the clouds, wherever it goes, the sensitive labels is defined. When we have a right tool that is able to read this sensitivity, we can apply our protection settings there. So for example, I will show you like how sensitive label looks. Now, this is what sensitive label we will define like this. So for example, I already told sensitive information type is base, and we will define labels based on sensitive information type to apply protection settings. That means now I want to apply protection settings on any content that matched my sensitive information type, which is credit card number previously I defined. Now, any document that contains credit card, any document that matches my sensitive information type, then the sensitive label should be activated and automatically applied both for files and emails. And what should happen is automatically apply the label. You also have an option, if you don't wish to automatically apply, you can recommend the users to apply the label. Why? Because it contains a sensitive information you want to protect. Now you can auto apply, and if you see the capabilities, Saketa credit card protection, that means automatically watermarks will be applied on identified content, and then you have options to encrypt it, and you can decide the permissions now itself. Out of every user in the organization, only whom you want this document should be accessible. So, and also you have options like you can even ask users to assign permissions when they created the document. So these are some options you can try later. But also you have a do not forward option. So in emails, let's say you forward it to someone and you don't want that one to be forwarded to other, you can choose do not forward option, or you can choose encrypt only. Like this, there are a lot of capabilities available here. If you want to see this in action, let me open this document. Now you can see there is no watermarking. This is in my file system, linked to SharePoint. So now if I click on credit card sensitive label, it will start asking me like this. No one can open this document. Why? Because I'm defining it. I'm giving only view only. That is also to the user named Saketa. So only the people in this group can access this document. If I click on apply, you can see automatically encryption and watermarking is being applying the, and also it will be encrypted if I save this. So if I ping this in this chat window, no one can able to open this because it will ask password or the emails. Actually, it will ask for the actual emails whom I just given the permission. Now this is what sensitive labels is. Now if we go to information rights management, information rights management relies on Azure Rights Management Service. So from Azure Information Protection, so it's the same concept. Like the main purpose of this is to encrypt and assign usage restrictions on files so that only authorized users can access them. So what I mean here is IRM can be applied to a list attachments and libraries after enabling in central admin. And when people downloaded files, they are encrypted and only authorized people can view them. For example, let me show you how the library looks like. This is the library where I applied my information rights management. It's very simple. We need to just go to library settings, information rights management. Now here you can choose what users are allowed to do, what they are not allowed to do. By default, when you turn down restrictions, they cannot view, sorry, the viewers cannot print it, they cannot copy it, they cannot download or like that kind of restrictions will by default applied. If you want to allow them to print it, you can just enable like this. If you want allows to screen record your document, your sensitive data, you can allow. By default, this is how information rights management look. And now when I open this, you can see what's happening. The PDF is protected. Now even if I downloaded it, so even if I downloaded it, you can see the PDF is protected. Now how we can access this? So now how we can access this? So it is protected. So for this, we need to open this in any software that is capable of handling protected files. It can be Nitro PDF, it can be any popular softwares or the single Azure Information Protection client from Microsoft itself. Using this, you can work with protected files. Without that, the files cannot be opened by anyone, even if we download it to our file system. So that is how the sensitive labels and protection capabilities works together. And coming to Microsoft Cloud App Security, so by considering time, we are not going deep into this, but I will just give you some overview idea. Cloud App Security, till now we have seen how to protect your data in SharePoint. But many organizations along with SharePoint, they use Google Drive, they use cloud or other cloud services. There are a lot of chances for their document to transfer from one cloud to another cloud, one SharePoint to cloud. Now here admin need a capability to view how the documents are transferring from SharePoint to file system and then to cloud, and you want to control it. You should be able to block if it is if there is a malware is getting uploaded to cloud or SharePoint, or something is happening with your sensitive data across the clouds. That is where Microsoft Cloud App Security comes into picture. It offers a great compliance metrics. It is designed with 70 to 80 plus risk scores. You just connect your cloud to it, and it will start showing whether how much cloud is secure or not. Your Google Drive, how much threat it is. Every compliance risk, it will start showing you. And also with the help of Microsoft Advanced Defender Protection, if you brought that license and if you enable in your tenant, what users are doing in file system, what they are uploading, you can even control that, and you can even block if someone is uploading a file to SharePoint or cloud. That much of advanced capabilities are there in Cloud App Security. So, and there are a lot of features available in Cloud App Security. We are planning one more webinar, so we are going to cover that later. This is just to give some overview idea so that you will get to know like what are the capabilities available, and depending upon the organization scenarios, what to pick. Now, prevent data loss. Data loss policies in Office 365 is not new, but like the capabilities, how we can leverage it to achieve the great things, we can see that. So data loss prevention policies in Office 365 helps prevent the unintentional sharing of sensitive items. That means when a data loss prevention policy is in place, you can identify, monitor, and automatically protect sensitive information from being shared to unauthorized users. Let's see it in a demo like. So now if we go to DLP policies, it will look like the same. Again, everything is based upon sensitive information type. Now what I'm defining my DLP here is identify any document in my tenant that contains sensitive information type credit card information, and if it is being shared with outside of my organization, block it from sharing if it is external user, but don't block if it is internal user. So I want my organization credit card information should not go to other users, only it should be written within the organization. Yeah, so DLP, like if my document contains credit card information and if the document is sharing with outside of my organization, I want to block it and only allow if it is sharing internally. And when someone is trying to share with outside people, just show them the notification with the message: documents contain confidential data and should not be shared with external users. You can customize your test and immediately send incident reports to the admin stating that some sensitive information is being shared by so and so user. You can choose what information you want to include in the mail. So that is what you can choose the severity level and the this thing. That is what DLP will define. So with this, you can automatically block if someone is sharing your sensitive data across to other users. It can be in mails, it can be in team chat messages, it can be in SharePoint files. Wherever they are sharing, just it will detect and it will immediately block or allow or provide some warnings. Let's say if you want to block by default, but when user provided justification, then you can allow it. That also option is by default available here itself. So use override and let user define a justification. This is how DLP works. And when we come to endpoint data loss prevention, the same key capabilities of DLP, but now you see in DLP from SharePoint. But how you want to protect your file system? Still, there are a lot of users who are using file system, file storages, and they are sharing their sensitive files through mails from file system or uploading files to SharePoint. Now, endpoint data loss prevention is nothing but DLP for sensitive info on Windows 10 devices. That means if a sensitive files is being shared in Windows 10 devices, any laptops, you can detect and either you can allow them or deny copy actions, paste, print, download, like we discussed. So you will get details like you will get activities in Activity Explorer. The same one we have seen in data classification page. So if you go here, there is a data classification. Here you will get activities like someone is copying your file to remote location or pen drive to some other servers like that. They are trying to print it. So every information can be tracked if we enabled this setting known as endpoint data loss prevention. For this, your devices need to be onboarded to Azure, then Microsoft 365 compliance solutions, and some configurations need to be done. Once that is done, any actions taking on that particular device, it can be tracked. So again, not like all devices, but that are registered devices. So coming to govern your data. Govern your data. Retention policies. So with retention policies and labels, you can choose how much time your content need to be retained and then deleted or retained forever. So that means, let me quickly walk through you to demo. So if you see retention settings, you can choose the number of years you want to retain your content. For example, I want to retain 7 years because 7 is kind of general for tax documents, all those things. Minimum a 7 or some years should be definitely they should be maintained without deletions or changes. So now I want to retain my content for 7 years, and when the time exceeds, I can choose retain items forever. That means it will never get deleted, it will always be retained, or else I have options like don't retain it but just delete it after 7 years met. Like that, I can choose the options that are available for us to either delete it or retain it. What I mean by retain is during this 7 year, if I choose retain settings, no one can delete it. Even though they deleted, it will delete from the document library, and then immediately a copy will be created in the hidden library. I think it's called preservation hold library. In that, a copy will be created, and whenever admin wants, they can just revert it or track it for audit purpose. That is what retention labels comes into. So retention labels are nothing but like the same kind of sensitive labels, but the purpose of sensitive labels is protection, and retention labels is identify sensitive content and apply your retention settings in terms of the lifecycle management. This is one of the feature can be used for lifecycle management purpose. Next, we have record management. Record management organizations of all types require a record management solution to manage regulator, legal, and business critical records. The best example is the tax that we just discussed. Tax documents should not be edited. So once we are done with tax changes, we can immediately declare it as a record so that no one can edit it or delete it. So that retention also can be automated using retention labels. That records can be declared automatically using retention labels. Whenever something matches sensitive information type, let users recommend to declare it as a record. Once they declared it, you will get the record management feature there. So we have workflows like whether it should be automatically deleted or only once the manager approved to get deleted. That workflows, everything is in place, and it can be clearly accessible from portal from the Microsoft 365 directly. So no more additional configurations is required. Now we have seen the capabilities of what Microsoft 365 offers and what should be used based upon the requirement. Now let's see how we leverage these features to set a standards of governance to our clients. So Saketa governance suite is so governance requirement for every organization is unique actually. So based upon its goals and needs, the government's requirements will vary across the organization. So to help the organization, what we did is we build a governance so that the organization can stay compliant. We developed a framework that include both tooling and consulting approach. In this webinar, we are going to look into the tool right now. What are the capabilities available for so that you can use it and to for your governance purpose or else and we will show you how to use it. And also we have many other things apart from tool that usually we offer in consulting approach, but like Sukanya already told, there is experiment head. Just you can be stay and you would get to know what we are going to do now. So along with the following capabilities of in the tool as part of consulting approach, what we offer is detailed assessment. First, we will assess your tenant completely, starting from site to the end of the item. We will assign each thing and we will give you a compliance report based upon scores. What are the that ratings like best and your organization is following the best practices or not, where can be the threat and where the user frustration resides. Everything we are going to do clear assessment according to our best practices, and then we have some models according to organization standards like low, mid, and high restriction, high governance implementations, and based upon that we will define your governance policy. We define your governance policy doesn't mean that we'll just help you in defining a governance document, but we will do advanced things like building a chart boards for you, building a web pages with pages that users can easily delve into and find their content without headache of reading a lengthy documents. All these capabilities we are going to give you. And then we have Power BI dashboard. We have a Power Platform experts. So they are going to configure. We already have a plug-and-play system in place. They will just configure it in your tenant, and it will start building the reports based upon the best practices they define in their backend. So that is what like Power BI dashboard. So all these things we are going to deliver cover as part of suite. So everything starts with detailed assessment. So we'll first assess your tenant based upon the scripts we have, and then based upon the issues and concerns, we are going to define the governance for your organization. Now, how Saketa governance tool will help you. So using this tool, you can yourself define a your organization governance, and you can see whether it is good or else what is the things there. So let's quickly get into the demo. So this is Saketa governance. So the dashboard will look like this by default. Now you have various reports available here. So starting from site, if I go back, starting from site to the document, item level, list level, everything, you will get every analytics. All these analytics were considered by considering Microsoft defined best practices in mind and the industrial best practices, which are most of our clients are MVPs we're using are already defined. I mean, like we are considered all best practices with lot of research we have given. Some analytics, for example, if I go to here, user analytics, if I go to last 90 days, so I can see internal and external activities happening across 90 days in my organization. Now, if you see any external activity, you can click and you can immediately go and validate it. For example, it's very simple, like this is currently there are no external activities. So let me click on internal activity, for example. If I click on it, it will just start showing you each and every activity happening in that filtered date range. On 6th, the internal activities are these users. David created a group or added users to group on so and so date, and this is the activity part, and you have a lot of columns available in detail. You can find it from single place. You have the search, you have filters, And also you have advanced filters. If you don't want to delve into each details, you can define your filter here. You can give your username, you can search for David, and the results will start showing. The results will start showing off the activities related to David. You can even define a lot of advanced filters. We designed it in a camel style filter so that every SharePoint user will definitely understand with ease. So that is what we our target, and every graph will follow same pattern. I just need to click it, and it will give the filter range. I can see these things. Now, if you want clear details, for example, let's say SharePoint best practices maintain fine-grained permissions and don't give highest privileges until unless necessary. Now, if you see in my organization, this is a test tenant actually created for this purpose. So you can see a lot of highest privileges have been granted. Now, if I click on view all, you can see what are the what are the users and the sites that are having highest privileges. If I don't want, I can immediately take the access back. So like that, every orphan users who left the organization, and if you go to site analytics, now you have top sites with highest activities. So popular trends, adoption reports. You wanted to understand how users are using with your site. What are the most popular site? What are the sites which are not having any activity 90 days and can be archived or prepared for the archival purpose? Or where you want to improve your search and content. Everything can be tracked here. So Saketa governance is a mix of inventory, summary, audit, adoption, and security reports. So everything you will get in detail. Now you may ask a question. You define few things, templates and sites according to some best practices, but our organization have separate best practices. We need the ability to design our own reports and to generate anything we want in Office 365. That is one of the most hot requirement we have from our clients as well. So what we are going to do is within a month or so, we are rolling out a future. We are rolling out a future within 1 or 2 months where you will have an option to design your own custom reports. You can click a button here, add new widget, and you can choose x-axis, y-axis. What are the data types you want to build? I want to see templates and the sites belonging to it, or else I want to see sites with external users. I can design the report that will follow the same pattern actually. If I click here, you will get an advanced filter where you will choose here. I want to view sites title begins with or equals to something. HR sites begins with HR. Now every site begins with HR will be a widget will be added. So you can, what I wanted to say here is you can define your own custom wizards, and that option is being rolled out. Like that, many other policies alerts are in pipeline. But this is just a overview of the tool, like for now, and you have all these things in built for now to try. We have a 7 days free trial. You can try, and you can provide us your valuable feedback. And coming to activity search, it is like a Google search experience where you can search by users. There are a lot of activities here. I can click on updated. So it will search everything, and it will only show me updated activities related to update. It will search on all columns. If you want to restrict it, you can do this here. You have the options and you have the filters here. If you want to export and send it to manager, use the export option. So everything is very simplified than Office 365. Even Office 365 have audit like, but this is very more simplified than that. And we are going to introduce a lot of more features here, like advanced filters, everything in this as well. Now this is what our governance is, and I will wrap up in 2 minutes. Why? Because I think we are already at the end of the time, and but I will quickly give you overview of security manager. In SharePoint, you usually know if you want to change permissions on 10 items, generally you are supposed to go to each and every item, remove user or break permission. Even it applies to the same different sites. But with the help of security manager, without going anywhere, you can select multiple sites. You can do whatever security actions you wanted to do. Add administrator to multiple sites, create groups in multiple sites and add users to it, remove permissions from multiple sites, grant permissions, or clean unused limited access, user memberships, view external user memberships. So here there are a lot of options which are pretty much self-explanatory, and you can see here external users. Who are the external users in this site? Everything without going anywhere from the central location, you can get the details. If you want to remove orphan users, you can click clean dead accounts. These are the capabilities available in Security Manager. So and if I the same thing applies to document libraries as well. So I can click a document library, and I can go to list permission. Now you can see what we are doing extra. Like if I can check permissions not only on particular list that I have selected, but at the single page I can see every unique permission items, the permissions that are granted to security group, everything I can see clearly starting from list to the last item in the hierarchy level. Every permissions will come and see. But if you want to do same thing in SharePoint, every unique permission item you have to go and you have to check the user permission is having full control or read there. But this is what we simplified. And this is just a small feature I'm just trying to tell here. And coming to grant permissions, remove permissions, you can search users. You can either remove from the site or you can grant every unique item like that. So again, here the clone user permission. This is also one of the important feature. Let's say a user is going to leave the organization. You want to transfer these permissions to another user. You can input Joe here. You can input Pawan here, and what you can do is you can simply click copy, and every permission of Joe will be transferred to Pawan, and you can choose items with unique permissions. So if, every permission on item will be copied. So you have memberships also. So wherever Joe is there in group, it will be removed and Pawan will be added. That is what clone user permission. So I think this is what security manager. So I'm going to give it to Sukanya. So like I think we reached the end. So this is what security manager governance and the governance suite that we developed. So if you have any questions, you can reach us out. But over to you, Sukanya.
Thank you, Srinivas, and thank you, Rohit, for this insightful presentation. I hope it must have been quite useful to our esteemed listeners. We couldn't take up the questions due to time constraints, but feel free to reach us out and we'll happy to answer. And last, here comes our giveaway. So we are providing a complete analysis of your tenant for the whole of this August, absolutely free of cost. Just reach us out and we'll analyze your M365 platform and come up with a detailed compliance report. We'll also recommend the best solutions to enhance your governance to give you the best results. All this with no commitments from your side. So grab this offer, drop a mail at hello@saketa.com and we'll get back to you. So with this is the end of today's session. Thanks to everyone who joined in and gave us their precious time. Thank you, Rohit and Srinivas. Signing off for today. Thank you and have a wonderful day. See you very soon. Till then, stay safe and keep growing.